we are going to go ahead and grab the next bit of fan art that is for the fan art contest, and this one is from Jet, and that is a big picture, and that is taking a while to load, but it is a plug suit Suris with a matching slime Suris Evangelion. You know, that made my little 90s child heart break seeing that. Now the question is, in the comment section below, which EVA pilot is that? Because, like, of the original three, it's either Shinji, Asuka, or Rei. Let me know in the comments section below, but I swear to God, if you say Shinji, I'm gonna be a little upset. For end of Evangelion in the hospital room reasons. Oh my fucking God, they're all saying Shinji! Shit! Fuck off! Fuck off. Anyway, as always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, I want to take a look at this right here. Now, this post here has gone privated by now, and I was going to cover this a couple of days ago, but Saki's birthday was yesterday, and the day before, I was not able to get as much done because I had a Riftbound tournament to go to. So now, we're going to go ahead and look at this right now. So, Brianna Wu. For those of you who don't know who Brianna Wu is a trans woman who got harassed during Gamergate. There is conversation to be had about whether she got harassed during Gamergate specifically because she put her neck out there for the purpose of being harassed, because she kind of inserts herself into these things. But I don't know where I fall on that particular argument because I was not there when that was happening. I wasn't paying attention when Gamergate was happening. I actually expressly remember when I was walking by a friend of mine, John, in Quick Trip, back when I was working there, right before I became manager. And while I was walking next to him, he was just like, hey, have you heard of Gamergate? What do you think of Gamergate? And I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck that is. And I know what it is now, but like all of the individual actors and pieces, I don't know as well outside of like the historical context. So, Brianna Wu, about a year or two ago, I want to say, actually came out as trans publicly. Now, most people who had known her or had been in group chats with her already knew that she was. Like, I was in a group chat with her and Cherry and a few others, and like, that was public knowledge in there, and she would get mad at people if they said anything even alluding to the fact she was trans. And now she says it, so I don't know. But, okay. She says she wished she would have kept her mouth shut and never come out. It was the biggest mistake I ever made, by far. Why? Is it because you keep courting the right-wing assholes? And the left wing keeps calling you out on it? Is that why you feel that way? Like, I just have to know which one it is, because as far as I'm concerned, the timeline basically goes that you started saying this trans exclusionary shit as a trans woman, stuff like real trans women want to be stealth, ignoring the fact that there are trans women who are activists, who make it a part of their identity because the visibility of it, much like with Pride, actually normalizes shit for people. Like, let's pretend we live in a world where all trans women and all trans men go stealth. And that's great. So that only works, though, for the ones who are actually able to stealth, the ones who are actually able to not be clocked. So what do you do for non-passing trans women? What do you do for non-passing trans men? Do you just leave them out to fucking dry? Like, is that what you do? Or do you have a little bit of visibility as a community so that they recognize that they can, you know, be seen there, especially because the big stereotype when it comes to trans women especially is that they just look like ugly men, and that stereotype doesn't really hold up when you have a passing trans woman somewhere. Deltoid says, you do the same thing when you disagree with somebody. You mean like put them in timeout? Kind of like this? Bye. Later, buddy. I'm gonna keep doing that. I think it's fun. Anyways, so like, while I'm not trans, I have friends in the trans community who have actively pointed out that even something that's not trans, it's just anything that feels like it shows a little bit of visibility, has helped them. As an example, I've gotten more than one DM over the years from people who have said that my model made them feel more comfortable with being a trans woman. Mine, just because I have a female VTuber model with an obviously male voice from an obviously cis guy behind it. Obvious because I tell you guys flat out. That gives people, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, this is shit that I've actually gotten DMs about. Apparently that has caused some people to feel comfortable enough coming out, which I didn't even think was going to be a thing. I took on this model as a joke. I took on this model as a goddamn joke. Like, the story for this model begins and ends with y'all kept submitting fan art and gender bending me, so I submitted it to Remixin. And then Remixin made my model, and then the Slime Girl model was made by Suzu, who became a VTuber because she was watching me, and she watched me become a VTuber, so she learned how to make VTuber models, and now she made this one. Sorry, I mess up there. I know she goes by, or they go by both technically, but yeah, either way. So, Jet says, Suris, are you going to talk about Jax? No, because I haven't seen the finale of Digital Circus. But it's already been spoiled for me that Jax is trans. So, neato, I guess. But because I've had that experience of people coming to me, telling me, hey, by the way, I felt more comfortable doing this because I saw your content, I know that seeing other trans women, especially passing trans women, show their visibility and undermine a lot of those stereotypes about trans women has a positive effect on people. So none of this anti-trans nonsense affects my daily life in any way I can perceive. Right, because your ideology is pull up the ladder behind you. Like, the ideology of I want to stealth comes from one of two places. It comes from a place of wanting personal safety, which is valid, or it comes from a place of wanting to pull the ladder up behind yourself after you've already crossed it. And I'm not saying that you're one or the other, I'm just saying that we could read through your Twitter profile to make a pretty educated guess on which one it is. She says she's literally never misgendered, never gets any weird looks. She did the work, got the surgery, learned the behavior, updated her documents. Okay, so what about the people who can't afford the surgery? What about the people who struggle because of societal norms or autism to learn the behavior? What about the people who can't get the surgery for physical reasons? What about people who cannot update their documents because of the state they live in, being weird and fucking dumb? Or, you know, not being able to afford it? Where's this I did the work, therefore I'm the trans woman shit coming from? And I'm not saying that that's what's being said in this post specifically. That's just something that I see in these posts a lot from her. Raka says, so being trans is just for rich people? Yeah, that's what it reads like. Like, okay, so where we're at right now, when Saki and I met, Saki had been on HRT for years. I didn't even know that she was trans until after I had developed a crush on her, and that was after knowing her for like a year and a half. Well, knowing. I rated her on Twitch. That's not the same thing as knowing. Parasocially knowing. Now, she has had top surgery. Now, she has been undergoing electrolysis. Now, she is approved for bottom surgery. All of the other things that are coming along with it are happening because we actually have insurance, which we did not have for years. So, was she less of a trans woman when I started dating her than now? No? Okay. She said there's literally no reason to make my life worse advocating moderate public policy. Yeah, there is, actually. So, like, okay. Let's go ahead and do a thing. Real quick. Me and you, chat. I'm just going to ask you a question. Are we on an island? Are you on an island? Do you exist on an island? At all? And when I say on an island, I mean individualistically. There is nobody else on the island. No family members, no friends, no nothing. It's just you. I think you'll find not one fucking one of us can say that. So, because none of us exist in a vacuum or on an island, even if it doesn't give you some particular benefit, does it give humanity a particular benefit when you advocate for human rights? Also, when you say moderate public policy, yeah, that's already a bit of a red flag for me, because a lot of times when I see somebody do this, like, I'm just calling for a moderate thing or a common sense thing. It usually isn't, but, you know, read through a profile for specifics if you want. So because none of us are an island, whenever we advocate for one another, we inadvertently make the world a marginally better place. If more of us advocated for one another, the world would become even more marginally of a better place. And after so many margins, the world would just become better as a net gain. But many of us are very individualistic. This is the same type of mentality that capitalists have been using for years to prevent us from doing little things like unionizing or showing each other our fucking paychecks. Because if we pull the ladder up behind ourselves and say, fuck you, I got mine, it's very hard for us to come together and try to advocate for something better collectively. This idea that we should just pull that ladder up behind us is fucking ludicrous, because the only reason that you have the opportunity to pull the ladder up behind you in the first place is because people came before you and advocated for your rights before you were even fucking born. Stonewall is a thing that happened historically. That's why we have pride. I'm not going to give any individual things that happened with me or my life, because it would sound like tooting my own horn. And none of that is helpful in this situation. But in general, if we do not advocate for one another in at least some fashion, we do ourselves a disservice, because ourselves are not fucking individuals. We are part of a giant conglomerate of people, and there is nobody who can live their life individualistically. If you think you can, the nanosecond you buy an orange from a supermarket, you just lied to yourself. Danman says, always support one another and we will make the world a better place. Raka says, literally, they're shroud. They confuse their own while leaving people who knows about it behind. Okay, so let's get a little further into the post. I thought I could help. Instead, I'm stuck between two insane political projects screaming into the void. So, yeah, but what are the insane political projects? Because from my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of them is, let's eliminate trans people. And the other one is, maybe trans women should be allowed to be in sports and bathrooms. And I don't know, one of those sounds kind of genocide-y, and the other one sounds kind of perfectly fucking fine, because who cares if a trans woman pisses in the bathroom next to you? You don't know what genitalia she has? Also, what happens when somebody's intersex? Like, you get somebody who passes perfectly as female or passes perfectly as male, but they're intersex, so the little doodads between aren't actually the doodads you expect to be between. And then they go somewhere. They were literally born that way. They had no control over anything whatsoever. And you're just like, nope, you got a beard. That means you got to go to the beard place. Ignore the vagina. Like, just... Nobody thinks this shit through all the way on the right. I swear to God. Because if it's about the penis, then suddenly intersex people are strange. If it's about the way that people look, the phenotypes, then suddenly we're no longer talking about the genitalia, and the genitalia shouldn't matter. But as soon as you bring that up, suddenly the genitalia matters. Becky Dog says, hey, my Vagubu has a beard. Ma'am, the Bush administration was years ago. It is time to clean up. I'm kidding, no. Danman says, and that we need an ID card just to go to the washroom. Oh my God. My God. And I know the reason that she has this completely blocked off is because when Brianna Wu, because she sits herself in the middle, she tries to sit herself as an enlightened centrist. When she advocates for trans rights, it's always with a but ... at the end in some way to like try to make things seem more normal instead of just advocating for the thing that actively helps people. Just, the woman doesn't have any sense of solidarity. It's just, Looking at some of the comments on this, though, people are a little mean. Said, I wish you had too. You only ever came out of the closet because trans women who were already out pointed out how your moderate social policy is barely disguised fascism, and you needed license to talk over them. I'm so glad you're having a bad time. You deserve worse. I don't know, Trillion, and I don't know if I would necessarily agree with this particular take, but it does seem sometimes that Brianna will use her status as a trans woman as a cudgel instead of, like, just a point of information. Fair. Then we have all you do is talk about how you pass, how you're the only real transgender, how you did all this work, well, paid for, the back alley surgeons technically did all the work, and prop up crazy conspiracies that we're coming for you because you endlessly glaze Israel. Jesus. Don't care, you're a Zionist and you're built like a cricket? God, every new thing I learned about you is against my will and entirely unsurprising, yet hilariously fucking stupid. Said, funny, other plastic surgery addicts don't call their procedures doing the work. Weird looks are part of the are part and parcel of life post-op for them too. Strangely, none of them feel compelled to lie illegally. But of course this is somebody who is a transphobe, so fuck off. I'm sorry, I will not invite transphobia towards Brianna Wu. I think that there are plenty of valid criticisms of her, but I think ones rooted in her gender are not valid criticisms. I think they're stupid. I don't know who this Jamie person is, but they said that they're, let's see, cerebral palsy, domestic sexual abuse survivor, a Jewish bush dyke, not queer, I guess that's what that means? Who wants to be male, resisting medical transition. Okay. Certainly a lot going on there in that profile. I feel like maybe that person's a psyop by existing. Jesus Christ. See, incredible levels of cope. You intentionally made yourself look like your video game character, and even then the main issue is that you prostrate yourself on Netanyahu's altar so you can trade anything you have for acceptance from a population best known for genocide. Jesus. It's never too late to stop talking. I too wish you would shut the fuck up. Brianna Wu, American and white, trying to dunk on everybody she can with the Sesame Street voice and a bunch of unwarranted pompuses. I mean, I don't know what the Sesame Street voice is for specifically, but I make fun of RFK Jr., so whatever. Zionzi says it's no longer autocorrect, but auto-predict. True. True. Let's see. Is there anything else in here that matters? Brianna's obsession with making overtures to people who will never accept her, and in turn will degrade and advocate for taking her rights away is really funny. Trans people shouldn't have to get surgery or pass to be treated with respect and have human rights. Stop defending conservatives. Well, there's still time to keep quiet. Lord knows we're waiting. Said, breaking news, sad, pathetic crybaby Brianna Wu regrets coming out and transitioning into a trans woman. Why, you ask? Because the TERF and the MAGA hate squad never saw Brianna as worthy enough to go after and attack. Oh. That one's weird. But anyway, looking at the post, knowing a bit of her history, and looking at how people are responding, I'm sorry, it feels weird. It feels weird. I feel like if you weren't trying to do this two sides thing, you would at least have half the people not trying to advocate against you, right? It's like being Blair White. It's like being Blair White and wondering why Steven Crowder won't gender you correctly despite the fact that you guys have the same political affiliation, ostensibly, but also saying all the anti-gay, anti-trans stuff over time and wondering why that side won't accept you. Like, there's reasons for it. There's reasons for it. Inquisitor says, WotC Union? Yep, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And in fact, we're done talking about Brianna, so that is next. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.